this video, we are going to see the problem on isometric projections. For that, here is the question in front of us. It is given, figure below shows two views of an object. Draw its isometric view. Means the front view and top view are given to us, which is in the form of 2 dimension. We have to draw the 3 dimension figure, which is the isometric view. And in order to draw that, we need to have the total length, height and width of the object. So in order to get the total length is visible both in the front view as well as the top view. When I look at the front view, here from this center, the distance, this is 30, 25 and 30, that is the center to center distance is, if I add these values, that will give me 85 mm. Next, from this center, the radius of the outer semicircle is 30 mm, and even this semicircle is having radius 30. So this is 85 mm, 30 from this side, 30 from the other side, so it is 60 mm. 85 plus 60, that gives me 145 mm as the total length. I'll write it down that the total length is 145 mm. Then the total height, it is visible in the front view, and if I can see here, the height is 20 mm, and this total height is corresponding to the diameter of the semicircle, which is 60 mm, as the radius is 30, so diameter is 60. Then the width is visible in the top view, and for the width again, from this center up till here, the radius is 30, so the diameter is 60 mm, so width is also 60 mm. Now once I have reached this stage, next I'll start the drawing and explain where to mark the length, height and width of the object. Drawing a light horizontal line. Next, through this, I am selecting a point, and from this point I am taking angle 30 degree on both sides, drawing a light inclined line. Similarly from the other side. Next, here I am drawing a light vertical line. So this point becomes the origin. Now once I get the origin, I need to know that where should I mark the total length, total width and total height. For that, we have to refer the origin which is given in the question. Now once the question is in front of me, here the origin is on this side. So if I pick this object here and place it over this side, so origin is here, length will be along this side and width will be over this portion. So I'm marking the length over this side. So length is on right hand side, that is of 145 mm. Through this point, I'll draw a light vertical line. Next, width is 60 mm, so it will be marked onto the other side, on left hand side here. Now, it is understood that the length is on this side, and that I had decided because of the location of the origin. If, for example, origin would have been here on the right hand side, then I would have taken this object, placed it over here, so length would have been on this side. So that is the significance of the origin. Now, after that, I'll complete this block by taking height of 60 mm. Drawing a light line. Next, marking 60 mm here as well. Drawing a line parallel to the length. Then I'll mark the length over this line, which is again 145 mm. 145. Now this is the rectangular block inside which I have to draw the complete object, and here in order to simplify this drawing I would be dividing this block, explaining how it should be done. Now when we are looking from the front side, the semicircular portion should be close to us, that is front view will be in this direction. From here I'll say this is arrow X that shows the direction of the front view. So when looking from the front towards the origin, here one semicircle is there as I can see here. Then another semicircle is there onto this side, but it is visible as a semicircle from the top, not from the front. So from the front it should appear as a disc having a height of 20 mm, and between them there is a gap of 25 mm as we can see here. So I would be starting to mark where to draw the semicircle. Now this semicircle, which is having radius 30, so its diameter is 60 mm, it is having a width of 20 mm as I can see it from here. So the first thing which I'll do here is take the half of the width even at the bottom, joining with the help of light vertical line. Then from here I'll mark the width of the semicircular disc, which is 20 mm. So taking 10 mm on both sides. So here I'll be drawing vertical lines connecting these points. Now the semicircle, as explained, outer semicircle having radius 30, so diameter is 60 mm. So there is a procedure in case of isometric drawing to draw that semicircular circular position. I have to take the diameter, which is 60 mm, and draw a parallelogram. So parallel to the length, I'll draw a line from this point. Next, even from the top on both the sides, parallel line parallel to the length. Next, semicircle is having diameter 60, so over these lines I am going to mark 60 mm. Joining them. Next, measuring 60 mm. Now this is a parallelogram inside which I would be drawing this semicircular portion. Next, since this is 20 mm width of the semicircle, now these portions are extended, so this portion will be extended up to the total width, and for that I'll draw light lines connecting these points for the surface. Next, after that, this surface is having a length of 25 mm as it can be seen here. So I take the length of 25 even from the other side, joining both these points, then projecting it down, or if I can see, measuring 25 mm. Then after getting this surface, here there is another semicircular disc, and when I look into the front view, it is exactly at the middle of the height. That is, I would be taking the center of the height and then marking 10 mm on the other side. That will give me this semicircular portion, and it is exactly at this surface. So for that, what I will do here is taking this height, which is 60, marking its midpoint even on the other side, drawing light line. Then this disc is having a height of 20 mm, so taking 10 mm on both sides. Then this portion is exactly here on this plane, and it is having a width of 60 mm because that is also a semicircle. So through this width, I am projecting a parallel line. Now over this, I would be marking 60 mm. Then here also through this point, I am projecting a line which is parallel to the width, having 60 mm. So this is the spacing of the problem. That is, here inside this block, a semicircle will be drawn. Then inside this block also a semicircle will be there. So I'll explain the steps. First, I would be drawing the semicircle over here, because we would be coming to know, that is, if the semicircle should be drawn completely or if some portion of it is intersecting the other surface. For that, I would be drawing the semicircle here at first, because when we look from top, the semicircular portion is seen. And here the procedure to draw the semicircle is, when we get this parallelogram which is corresponding to its diameter, here I should draw the longer diagonal. Then marking the midpoints of each of the sides of the parallelogram. Next, after drawing the longer diagonal, the midpoint which is there at the top should be connected to the bottom corner, intersecting the diagonal. Bottom midpoint to the top corner, intersecting the diagonal. Now where the diagonals has been cut, here I am going to get these center points. Next, from this center to center, I'll draw light line, because the semicircle should end here between these limits. Then here I'll take this center and distance up to this midpoint as the radius. I need to connect these two midpoints with the help of a light arc. Next, there should be another arc connecting these two midpoints. So here I need to draw another arc joining these two midpoints. For that, I am taking this center and the distance is up till here, joining them. So here I get the semicircle. Next, this semicircle is having height of 20. So another semicircle will be there at the bottom plane. I would be drawing that, and the procedure is, where this arc is cutting the longer diagonal, project that point first. Next is this midpoint, and then the center which I had used. It is going down by 20 mm. So from this point I am marking 20 mm. Now taking the same radius, the center is shifted 20 mm below, drawing a light arc. Now only this much portion of the semicircle would be seen. The remaining part won't be visible, because since it is intersecting, and intersections are never shown in isometric drawing or with hidden lines. Now after this, the semicircular portion also contains a circle having diameter 30 mm. So I would be drawing the circle by a similar method, where once I get the center of this parallelogram, from this I'm going to mark 15 mm on both sides, which is these points. Then joining this center to the midpoint, on this, from this center again I'll mark 15, because the diameter is 30 mm. Next, here I'll draw the parallelogram as I have drawn for the outer semicircle, in a similar manner for the inner circle as well. Parallel line through these points. Now, here I had drawn the parallelogram. I'll explain where it is These are the corners of the parallelogram. After getting these corners, next the procedure is same. First to draw the longer diagonal, and here the longer diagonal is already existing because it is same for both the parallelograms. Then I'll join the top midpoint to the bottom corner. The corner is at this location. Yes. So joining the top midpoint to the bottom corner, bottom midpoint to the top corner. So where these lines are cutting the longer diagonal, that is going to give me the center. Then keeping this center and this much radius, I'm going to draw a light arc. Now if we see here, some portion of the circle will be cutting the surface which I have drawn light initially. So this much part won't be visible. So I won't be drawing this much portion, that is, I'll explain it. Now keeping this center here, measuring the radius where it has ended. Now drawing a light arc. Now since some portion of this arc as well is crossing the surface, so this portion won't be made dark, but the remaining part would be made dark. Then the next center. Now once I get this circle, next thing I have to check if it goes 20 mm deep, will any part of the circle be visible? For that, I'll be taking this same center which I had used to draw this arc 20 mm below and check it. So taking this distance 20 mm down. Now the radius is same, but center is being shifted 20 mm below. And see here, some portion of this arc would be seen. So I'll just draw it like so. This much part would be seen of the circle. The remaining circle should not be drawn because it is intersecting the surface. So I'll leave it as it is. Next, once I have drawn this portion, in that case, I can draw the surface here because as per the priority, this surface will be visible first to avoid any confusion here. Because after drawing this surface, then only I will make the circle and semicircle dark so that we can understand which part is visible and which is not. So this procedure needs to be followed. That is first making this surface dark. Now once I have made this surface dark, now I can easily see that the portion which is intersecting, this should not be made dark, but the remaining things will be dark. For that, the inner circle will be visible only up till here. Then this arc will be drawn. Next, so here I'm making this arc dark. Only this much portion is seen. Then the outer semicircle. So this much part of the disc is seen. Then after that, I need to draw the semicircle here as well. For that, here again, I am drawing the longer diagonal first. In a similar manner, marking the midpoints of all sides of the parallelogram. Next, here also I need to draw the semicircular portion. For that, connecting this midpoint to its opposite corner, intersecting the longer diagonal. Similarly, this midpoint to the bottom corner, intersecting the longer diagonal. Now, where they are intersecting, I would be getting the centers. Then I want the semicircle portion only up to this region, and for that, here I'll take this center, this much radius up to the midpoint. Then keeping this center, this much radius, drawing an arc. Now this is the semicircle. The same semicircle will be drawn 20 mm behind because that is the width of the semicircular part. For that, the first point which I'll project back is the arc cutting the longer diagonal, projected back. Then this midpoint will be projected back, and this center which I had used. Now, since it is having a width of 20 mm, it means I need to draw the semicircle on this plane 20 mm behind. I'll take this center 20 mm behind. Now this is the new center. The radius will be same. Center is shifted. Drawing an arc here. Next, through this width, I am drawing a light parallel line. And then the center which I had used. Now this center will be 20 mm behind, as I want the semicircle to be 20 mm behind. Now for that, taking this new center, radius up till the arc where it has ended, extending it over here. Next, joining these arcs with the help of light line. And now, once I have drawn the semicircle, inside this portion there is another circle which needs to be drawn of diameter 30 mm. So here, if we see inside this semicircle, there is a circle of diameter 30 mm which is seen in the front view, and for that I need to draw that circle inside this semicircular portion. And for that, first I'll get the center of this parallelogram by joining these 2 points. Now here I get the center of the parallelogram. Circle is having a diameter of 30 mm. So here if I take 15 mm on both sides, it is directly coming onto these lines. So here I get the 2 points. Next, on this vertical line as well, I'll mark the same distances, that is 15 mm. So 15 mm on one side, 15 mm on one side, that is 30 mm. Then to this point, I am drawing a parallel line. Then through these points, I will draw vertical lines. Then inside this parallelogram, I need to draw the circle. And for that, here we have the longer diagonal of the parallelogram for the circle. This diagonal is same as it was for the semicircle. Next, after getting the midpoints, I would be connecting the top midpoint to its opposite bottom corner so that it intersects the longer diagonal, that is joining it in this way. Next, bottom midpoint to the top corner. Now, where these lines are cutting the longer diagonal, that points are nothing but the centers here and even at this location. Next, so keeping this center and the distance up to this radius, here I'll draw a light arc. Then where this arc has ended, from this point to the midpoint, I would be drawing another arc joining them, light arc. Next, keeping this center and the distance up to this midpoint, connecting both the midpoints here. Next, these 2 points should also be connected with the help of an arc. For that, I'll keep this corner of the parallelogram as the center and this much as the radius, drawing a light arc. Now, once I have drawn this circle, I need to check if another circle is seen or not. Like this has a width of 20 mm. So if at 20 mm behind there will be some arc or not, that arc will be parallel to this arc. So for this arc, the center which I had used here, same center I will be keeping it 20 mm behind, because that is the width of this plate, marking this center and keeping the same radius. If I take this center, then yes, I am getting an arc here, but a very light arc, very faint, this one, which will be seen and nothing more than that, because the remaining part would be intersecting the semicircle. So that won't be drawn because here we don't have intersections in case of isometric projections. Then once I have completed this, I can make it dark. So starting with the last arc which I had drawn, which was this one. So here I have drawn this circle which is there inside the semicircle. Next, in a similar manner, I would be making this semicircle dark. This was the center for this arc. Then drawing this arc. Once we have reached here, I can join both these semicircles with the help of a straight line. Next, these surfaces are connected and this surface is also connected here. So here is the complete diagram. Now, when I look at the front view for this question, here the semicircle is seen and then there is dark line. It means both these surfaces are on different planes. So when looking from top, it is understood that this semicircular portion is behind and this surface is ahead. So that can be seen from the front view. Next, this semicircular disc appears as a straight height of 20 mm, which is there from the front view, looking like a rectangle. From the top, this portion is seen as a semicircle. It is seen as a semicircular portion, and this portion, semicircular disc, seen as a rectangle. So once I have drawn this and there are no intersections here, only up to the dark portion, and with this we complete the problem.